And now let's take you through the newspapers and share with you the major stories making headlines across Nigeria this morning. We're going to be joined by public affairs analyst Dr. Olasunkade Azeez. Good morning. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, we're going to start on the Punch newspapers this morning and see what we can find, or the leadership, whichever one. Okay, the Punch. It says right there, 34.8% inflation. Inflation rate rather triggers fears of rising prices and hardship. And we just got off a conversation on that as well. High demand for goods and services during Utide caused inflation, says the National Bureau of Statistics. Tinubu and governors salute fallen heroes, pledge support for widows. Also on the Punch, retired generals and others worry over fresh terror attacks in Northeast. Reps Deputy Chief Whip Ononuga dies at 59. Ogun Mapoli students differ over attack on deputy governor. That's one of the stories that we also took in the news earlier. And a dog killed Nigerian woman in Italy. These are the stories. Allafin of Oyo reverse appointments in 30 days. Kingmakers tell Governor Seyi Makinde. Seems to be crisis brewing in Oyo State because of that appointment. But these are the major stories on the Punch newspapers this morning.
All right, let's move to the next paper this morning. And the next paper is the Leadership newspaper. On the front page of the Leadership, Tinubu to armed forces, your sacrifices won't be in vain. And we can see there the riders. We have Shetima, Akpabio, Abbas, others lay wreath. Governor's task military on national security. Chief of Army Staff reaffirms commitment to troops' welfare. USSD codes, NCC approves 9 banks disconnection. Biden, others hail Israeli-Hamas ceasefire deal. 7 farmers killed in Niger crash. Inflation rises to 34.80% ahead of rebasing. Why I most, court sees other seizure of GHL's crude cargo over alleged First Bank debt. 67 CSOs seek end to Amnesty International's harassment. And that's all on the Leadership. Let's move to the next paper.
Next newspaper this morning, we're taking as the Daily Independent. Says here, customers of 9 banks may not get alerts and orders from January 27th as NCC okays disconnection of banks from USSD platforms. Also, Tinubu asks Nigerians to shun violence, promote peace and unity, and that's on Armed Forces Remembrance Day. NNPCL remitted 10 trillion naira into Federation accounts in 2024. Citing security concerns, military bans drones in Northeast. And also festive spending pushes Nigeria's inflation to 34.80%. It's also, maybe a good question to ask if that is truly what is to blame. National Assembly rejects housing budget, orders minister to represent it rather. Israel-Hamas reached deal on Gaza ceasefire and hostage release. Tinubu okays recruitment of 5,000 personnel for NCOS. And I think these are the stories that we can take on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. Our fire newspaper, the Daily Trust. Airstrike kills 15 in, I beg you, that's a different newspaper. A Daily Trust. Why I won't help Tinubu government, says Emir Sanusi. Says the president lacks a credible team. Borno farmers killing, terrorists ambush soldiers and others recovering corpses. War on Gaza, Israel and Hamas seal ceasefire deal. Prison decongestion, federal government to pardon convicts, inaugurates committee. We are struggling to survive, fallen heroes, widows are saying. And military bans drone operation in Northeast. Inflation rises to 34.80% in December. Senate queries State House over 5.9 billion naira spending on vehicles. Interesting. All right, let's bring our guest in to analyze some of these stories. I think it's, I think we should start with the inflation. The NBS blames those who came into Nigeria in December to celebrate Christmas for the rising inflation to 34.80%. I'm sure that there's going to be people who might argue that that may not be the only reason, but if that's what the NBS is saying, it's fine. But does this, make you lose faith or trust in the government's projections of 15% in the 2025 budget?
Thank you very much. People coming in from diaspora to Nigeria might actually not necessarily be the only factor that actually spiral up the inflation in December. There are a lot of other factors like demand and supply imbalance. Not only that, we also have monetary policy, economic growth, increase in wages, commodity price shocks, and what have you, exchange rates. I know for the people that came in from diaspora might be a factor, but there are some other factors I just mentioned now. And government actually need to be very conscious of that. And if you recall, the president during his end of year brief with media executive, he actually talked convincingly to we Nigerians that's going to actually do some curtailment strategy that will enable us to actually tame the inflation to ensure that it's within the 2 digits that will actually not make life difficult for us. And be that as it may, if people that actually come around from other country happen to be, do they actually have plans to actually curtail it? Today, go to the market, a price of a bag of rice, 50 kg, some ranges from 180 to 120,000. It depends on the quality and where they actually source them. I'm of the opinion that between now and when the budget will properly actually become effective and operational, a lot of curtailment and containment strategy was actually been articulated to ensure that it is actually being managed to ensure that things are not only that out of the exchange rate, almost about 1,600 to $1. All those things go a long way. And unfortunately, we happen to be a consuming nation, not a producing nation. We are not exporting, we are importing. And the inflation goes beyond just mere rhetorics. We actually need to put some economic policy in place. Yeah. For instance, let's just talk about one staple food in Nigeria. There's hardly any home they don't eat rice in a day. What are they doing about rice? Some people are actually feasting fast on the crisis, on the hardship Nigeria is going through. If government actually can flood the market with price at control, rice, with a stock of rice in the marketplace at control price, lo and behold, the people that are actually feasting fast on it will have a rethink. And before you know it, an ordinary man on the street will actually have something to smile at if government is able to address such situation.
Okay, but you don't have faith that they can achieve 15%?
I do have hope.
Okay.
Funny enough, I believe in Nigeria as a nation, Nigeria as a project, Nigeria as a people. Nigeria has gone beyond and should go beyond geographical expression. Yeah. What really happened is government may be a little bit slow in some of their action, in some of their strategy, because the rate at which people are actually suffering hardship in the land call for what I call emergency action, not reaction. Project, strategy, policy that actually make life easy for an individual, an average Nigeria on the street.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's move to another story. Looking at the leadership newspaper on the front pages, on the front page, President Tinubu says to the armed forces, your sacrifices won't be in vain. The Chief of Army Staff has reaffirmed his commitment to troops' welfare. Insecurity has been a challenge that we faced for over a decade in this country. But then again, the quality of lives that our members of our armed forces have had to live with whilst alive, and even the ways that their family have been treated after death have come to, have been part of the conversation. If you look at the Daily Trust as well, the fallen heroes' widows say we are struggling to survive. So from your analysis, how is Nigeria faring in terms of welfare for members of our armed forces, and what are the areas we can do better? Is it enough to just bring out one day, January 15th, and we'll come, they will lay ref, and they will celebrate them and, grant them this grand platform? But in the course of the year, how would you say we're faring in terms of caring for members of our armed forces?
Thank you very much. You've said it all. Our fallen heroes, our hearts actually go to them, to their family, for laying their life, paying supreme price to secure you and I, to secure Nigeria, territorial integrity, and also to sustain and affirm our sovereignty. It goes beyond just mere rhetorics, as I said earlier on another topic. And I think under this, there must be an articulated welfare scheme. It shouldn't just be an annual ritual. The president will tell us suit-bombing speeches. It goes beyond that. There must be articulated, consolidated welfare scheme for the spouses, for the children, especially their nuclear family they left behind. It might not be out of place to ensure that their children, they see them through their university education. Any of them that are actually interested in joining the force, the armed forces, they should be able to actually be given first right of refusal if they want to. If they actually allow them and at the same time sponsor them or give them or grant them scholarship to Nigerian university or especially NDA, it's not out of place. Of course, they also need to put the widows or widower on some monthly stipend, basically to enable them to make life meaningful to them. Not only that, the insurance they actually put on the soldiers while still alive, while still fighting for the territorial integrity of Nigeria, lo and behold, they should be actually be able to disburse that. Not only that, widows or widowers of our fallen heroes, needless to actually struggle before they get the entitlement of the fallen heroes. And not only that, there could also be some commission whose job basically is to actually take care of the needs and welfare of all these people who, only because their benefactor happen to be soldiers, who do what? Who fought for Nigeria and laid their life for the nation to be. Lo and behold, I think they deserve a better. And just see one of the headline there. We don't say they are struggling to survive. If they are struggling to survive, that means Nigeria is not fair to them. And of course, what are they doing about the education of their children? What are they doing about the life and living of those people that they have left behind? The current soldier, how would they be motivated? How would they be, be 100% loyal to the other side in the line of defending the nation? I do strongly hope that the president, the incumbent president, will, and of course the National Assembly will articulate legislation, and of course the executive will also come up with some strategy, with some policy, with some packages on welfare scheme that will enable the surviving family of the fallen hero to have to be proud that their benefactor incidentally happened to fight and at the same time lost their life and treated worth it. And not only that, it's not only about the fallen hero. What about the living soldiers outside there? They must be encouraged the way the fallen colleagues, partners, they are being treated.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I think everybody would agree with that. The Nigerian military, Nigerian armed forces generally, deserve a lot more support from the Nigerian government. How familiar are you with what's going on in Oyo State? The story, it says here, Allafin of Oyo says, reverse appointment in 30 days, Kingmakers tell Governor Seyi Makinde.
Incidentally, I'm from Oyo State, the capital of the state, and I'm also a chief. So when it comes to all this, it's not something that's very strange to me. You will agree with me, not only Oyo, what of Kano?
Yeah.
What of Ogbomoso? I think it's high time a political class, they shouldn't actually put politics into everything in our life. There's what we call culture, and inside that culture you have tradition. And inside that tradition you have value. And when we say culture simply means the way we do things here. Lo and behold, it is unlawful, it is illegal, it is uncultured, it is untraditional for any KBAC to be installed in the cozy office of a governor. They have structures. And as far back as 1967, when Oyo Traditional Act was enacted, everything is actually stipulated in there. And there are checks and balances. Governor is not to install. Governor is to ratify what Oyomesi. Oyomesi are the kingmakers, right? And of course, you could see there's difference between having moral authority, legal authority. Today, the current Allafin may actually suffer from what I call moral authority. And he may end up suffer again what I call traditional rulers' aloofness. is not Kabiyesi of the governor. It's not Kabiyesi of Ibadan land. It's Allafin of Oyo. And Oyo in Yoruba tradition, lo and behold, they are forced to be reckoned with. You could see the aura around the late Oba, Allafin Adeyemi. You could see the man was an authority. The man was, you know, an epitome of culture of Oyo land. So what I just want to say in essence is that politicians should leave politics within the political arena and they leave tradition to what have you. They actually needs to, it is the Oyomesi through Bashorun they are supposed to declare, and they have done that. It is alien in the 1967 Traditional Act to Allafin that they should consult Ifa. If they consult Ifa, maybe just to weed away too many candidates. But the responsibility, the duty, it is the obligation of the Oyomesi, the kingmaker, to scrutinize who and who are entitled to be the next Allafin. This has actually not really happened. It's just a splinter, a faction of Oyomesi that actually work in tandem with Ministry of Local Government in Oyo State to, you know, and they recommended to Kabiyesi. Lo and behold, Oba is for everybody. Acceptance must not be in controversy. If they actually want that particular person to serve as spiritual, as traditional leader of the town.
So what do you think Governor Shea Makinde is doing?
To me, I think he has actually jumped over certain things. He should have actually allowed Oyomesi, and which they have actually done. You could recollect from from the report we have. They said when the man died about 2-3 years ago, and what did they do? In line with the tradition, they got all the candidates and they screened them. And of course, they announced, first of all, they announced the death to the governor. Governor is actually to assent to the recommendation of Oyomesi. Today is approbating, is reprobating. You can't be a judge. You can't be prosecutor. If you have issue with Oyomesi, there are ways and manners legally they could actually be handled without necessarily scuttling the traditional way they do things.
So how do you think that this will be resolved? Because now they've asked that the appointment be reversed. And
actually, I would have actually be a little bit uninterested to discuss the matter. Why? It's actually a pending matter before a court of competence in Oyo. Obviously, as Oyomesi actually said, and even the prince, the 19 princes in Oyo, that all he needs to do, he does not need to actually take them to social media or public opinion judgment. That since the matter is before the law court, should have allowed the court to dispense with the matter and at the same time proclaim who is supposed to be there legally. And at the end of the day, give him instrument of office, staff of office, certificate of office, and what have you. But that process has actually been truncated. So at the end of the day, the court may end up be the final. We are all living witnesses. There are some people, there are some Kabiyesi that were deposed 20 years, 30 years after their enthronement because due process, due diligence actually not being put in place in their selection, in their appointment, which make it contentious for people not to accept them and for court to actually also dethrone them.
All right. I want us to, let's now move to Emir Sanusi, who says, the Daily Trust newspaper, it says, why I won't help Tinubu government. Emir Sanusi says, he says the president lacks credible team and he's declared his unwillingness to provide helpful insights or solutions to Nigeria's economic challenges. He was saying this, of course, at the 21st anniversary of Faweyimism in Lagos on Wednesday. Sanusi had criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's approach to a number of economic policies and his inability to present a credible explanation to the public. But let's get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think I look at it comme ci, comme ça. Let me use that French word. Today, Sanusi is Emir of Kano, a highly respected first-class Emir in the northern part of the country. There are some roles attached and attributed or attributable to certain roles. I know for sure as Emir, I like opposition talking to the power, correcting them on certain things. But there are certain things, there are certain class of people. They need to choose the right medium to actually communicate. I know for sure the same Tinubu that the emir is actually talking about today rescued him at a point when he was actually during Jonathan. I actually expected him to seek in audience the president and actually tell him what he's telling the public. Am I communicating? It's good that some people are there to talk to power. Not all of us will be patronizing the power. But as emir, one would have actually expected him to choose a more dignified route, means, channel, to actually talk to the power. Be that as it may, now, assuming he was able to actually have in audience the president, some of these issues will have actually been discussed. But if you are to force Sanusi, not in the area of cerebral prowess, not in the area of analytical, right?
Yeah.
Account of what really happened. We knew for sure that being a past group MD of a bank, being a past Central Bank of Nigeria, is in a position to actually look at some indices. Are they adding up? Economic indices, are they adding up? Are we actually getting what we're supposed to get? So be that as it may, the government might actually still look at what it says and try to address them. But to me, I would have actually loved him to, or maybe he write a letter, not letter to my fellow countrymen, but personal letter to the president. After all those avenues must have been exhausted, and there is actually no response to his concern, to his, what he feels should be addressed, he can actually do that. But nevertheless, no idea is useless. I would have actually suggested that the presidency diagnose, dissect the point he has made, the area he has called, his concern that has been expressed, for them to actually address them and see what happened. And I know for sure at the time, President actually withered away some ministers that he feels they are not. But again, I think the government should go, the president himself should go beyond mere rhetorics. There must be key performance indicators for all the ministers so that he can inspect what he expects from individual ministers, individual governments, functionaries, so that at the end of the day, within 1 year, you are not doing, just like in the private sector, there's what we call OKR, Organizational Key Result Area. There's what we call Key Business Indicator, and there's also what we call Key Performance Indicator. All these parameters, all these instruments should actually be in place to control, to affirm the performance, to calibrate the performance of each and every government functionary.
Yeah, I mean, that would be for a government that truly wants to constantly rate itself and see that it's delivering on KPIs. Do you get the feeling that this government actually has key performance indicators with which it's working across all MDAs? That the government says that by 2026, for example, or the end of 2025, this is where we want to see healthcare. This is where we want to see power generation. This is where we want to see infrastructure. This is where we want to see, the Human Development Index generally, with Nigerians. Do you get that sense that this government has those plans? Because the same government that, we're talking about rebasing the economy. Not very long ago, the NBS also changed its metric with which it analyzed the unemployment levels and brought Nigeria's unemployment, much lower than many people would argue it really is. So do you believe that it has those KPIs and it's working with those KPIs?
It's okay. Since I'm not part of the internal government and I'm also part of the inner mechanism of performance calibration, I'm actually not be able to say that.
Yeah.
But let's just pick one. There are two things that are so critical in any economy: power. And power in this can be further calibrated into two.
Yeah.
Power in terms of energy you and I are using, and power in terms of petroleum. You see how contentious petroleum issue is all about. What of energy? Our national grid continue to collapse.
Yeah.
Am I communicating? Lo and behold, who is who is our power minister today, an accountant. Sometimes you need to put the rank pearl inside the rank hole, then you'll be able to get the expected result. Now, they are talking about a band A, band B, band C. Lo and behold, all over the world, name it, America, Canada, United Kingdom, Malaysia, Singapore, or wherever, everybody pay for what they consume. Though government do some subsidy on it.
Yeah.
If you are to look at power in terms of electricity, it's a failure. It's a failure today. And if government is able to actually address that, along with petroleum issue, Nigeria will be an El Dorado. Go out there, you will see a lot of graduates pushing Marwa around. Why? Because the power they need to really make things happen in their life.
We need to go, right? The government has 4 years, except it is then re-elected. But logically, you have only 4 years to deliver somewhat.
Yep.
What do you believe that the current administration will be able to say it delivered within the next 4 years? We're 2 years into the administration, now has 2 years to go. Will it get to the maybe end of 2026 and say to itself, you know, we're proud that we delivered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things for Nigerians? Is there things that you can say that they can brag with?
Okay. The way things are from the failure we get from the government inner mechanism, working system.
Yeah.
We have the opinion that they're actually sowing some seed, which by third year we begin to see the effect of it. See the example of petroleum.
Yeah.
There's now one of the media charts content or messages that President passed is it will allow demand and supply mechanism to take care of that. You know, by the time Dangote comes in, it was a different trajectory. Am I communicating?
Yeah.
By the time Port Harcourt refinery become activated, it become a different story entirely. By the time we're also thinking about Warri refinery, it's actually going to become operational. And by the time Kaduna refinery also come to be, lo and behold, I think it might be a success story. What really happened is, the problem we are encountering today was actually not something happened today or yesterday. They are accumulation. And we don't actually expect these people as magicians or miracle performers to let it happen over time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think what the presidency or what the government need to do, for each of the steps they are taking, they owe us explanation. Am I communicating rather? And not only that, just in that year-end media chart by the president, he articulated a lot of things. You could see that there will be hope at the end of the tunnel. I strongly believe, all things being equal, if we put the right person at the right time, and presidency should have people whose job basically is to analyze each and every ministry, from agri to Ministry of Power, to works and housing, and what have you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you know why? What get measured, get done.
Yeah.
What get tracked, get done. There must be calibration system that will enable each and everybody to be on their toe. See aviation ministry, they are getting a lot of result in there.
We need to go. Mr. Azeez, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure having me.
Thank you
we
for
enjoyed
joining us.
speaking with you
God
as
bless you.
well.